The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Thursday, July 10th, you guys. Today, Dale, you're going to love this. Today is Chronic Disease Day.
You're looking at a chronic disease, dude.
Oh, I knew you'd love that one. It's also National Pina Colada Day.
Okay.
I mean, AJ, you got a pool. You know what I'm saying? You gonna be sipping a pina colada today?
Iced tea.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Not a pina colada guy, really.
Okay. All right. Well, I like little, funny umbrella drinks. It's also National Kitten Day today, you guys.
Kitten? Like a little cat?
Kitten, yeah, little baby kittens, yeah. Mm-hmm. Stone, you have any kittens? No.
No kittens. 2 big cats and 2 dogs.
2 big cats. Okay. All right.
I have 5 children. I don't need any cats.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I feel you, Dale. I feel you. Let's see. What else is it today? It's also National Clerihew Day.
Clerihew?
Yeah.
What?
Hold on. Give me a second. Let me go. Yeah,
that doesn't sound very American. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, you know what, Stone? I'm not mad at that comment right there because I actually agree with you on that. But let's see. 7/10. Let's see. National Clerihew Day. Oh, this actually is, I think, very American.
Oh,
actually. Shit. On July 10th each year, National Clerihew Day in the United States celebrates a poem style created by Edmund Clerihew Bentley. His 4-line biography poem offers a brief, thorough, whimsical approach to poetry.
That's very whimsical.
Yes, he was an English novelist and humorist, and Edmund Clerihew Bentley, July 10th, 1875 through March 30th, 1956, created the first ever Clerihew at the age of 16.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. As with most poetry, the Clerihew is defined by a set of rules. The rules identify the Clerihew style, but also makes the short poem entertaining and informative. A Clerihew poem must include 4 lines, rhyming couplets of AA and BB, a person's name in the first line, something said about that person, and humor, because Clerihew poems are meant to be a funny poem. What do you guys say about that, Stone?
A lot of rules there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I take it back, Mr. Clerihew.
Well, interesting. And let's see, Clerihew Day. And of course, Stone, you know what today is? It's 7/10, bro. It's National Oil Day. And for those of you that don't understand 7/10, today is the secondary cannabis holiday today, next to 420, because if you turn 7/10 upside down and you understand pager language because you're from that time, then you know that 7/10 spells oil.
Yeah, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Well, today's my son Jeremy's 48th birthday.
No way. Happy birthday, Jeremy. That is
Yep.
awesome. That is awesome, Dale.
He's working in his music studio today, recording stuff. So
Nice.
love your son.
Nice. Happy birthday, Jeremy. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And I am not seeing Jenny Beth yet. Is she behind on us over here today?
Ain't here.
Is she ever on time? I thought this was normal.
Well, observation error. Watch
I feel
out.
you. I
At
feel
least
you.
on Thursdays. That's all I can speak for. So I take it back. I love you, Jenny Beth.
Just don't worry, Stone. She'll be here. She'll be here in a little while. Dale, you want to kick this thing off?
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
All right. Fair enough. We're going to start off with attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schafer. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Let me get to you, Dale. Here we go. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he has specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license. He's blunt. He doesn't smoke them because they're ratchet. And he's honest, and he's unconcerned with your opinion, public opinions, and anyone else's opinion for that matter. And he will show you how he can defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right. It is none other than your favorite Tio Loco, and you can now find him at his own law office at the law office of none other than Dale Schafer.
Hi, good morning, everybody. It's your favorite Tio Loco and full of shiticus.
Yeah.
My story this morning had a marijuana moment, and I'm going to wax nostalgic here for a minute on you. Ben Adlin put this out yesterday, and headline is "Activists Celebrate 50 Years of Marijuana Decriminalization in California." Now, I was a junior in high school when Richard Nixon signed the Controlled Substances Act. California followed up pretty quickly after that, and possession of marijuana was a felony, 2 to 10 years. Okay? And the greater the amount, the worse it was. I mean, it was horrible. And me and my friends started smoking weed in like 1971, our junior year. So we were concerned. It's like, we don't need to get in trouble. You know, our parents didn't like us smoking weed. They didn't really know about it, but you could get your ass kicked pretty seriously. Okay? Now, 1972, I graduated from high school. I was first able to vote. And they had an initiative on the ballot, the California Marijuana Initiative. And it didn't win, but I got to vote for it in my first election I was old enough to vote for. And we got 35+% of the vote. No one thought, hell, these crazy hippies are never going to get, well, we got 35+% of the vote. Ronald Reagan was president, was the governor, and, Nancy was just say no. It's like, oh, got to stomp down these goddamn potheads. Okay. But the number of votes we got convinced Moscone to push forward a bill. We had enough people to push the legislature. And at that point, Jerry Brown was the governor just after Reagan, and he signed the Moscone Act, 1975, which reduced possession of an ounce or less to a ticketable offense, basically, $100 fine. It's like, oh, thank God. We got beyond this felony bullshit, but still, it was a felony for more than an ounce. You couldn't grow, no home grow. And this had followed Reagan, so we thought, we're going to get Jerry Brown for a while. But then we kept having these attorney generals in California who were very conservative, and they did not want this. All right. And then when the AIDS epidemic hit, Reagan's the president, and he has as much empathy for the AIDS epidemic as, I guess Trump does for Ukraine. I don't know where to put that in there. But we were fighting on many fronts here. And Jason, you were starting to become aware of what's going on then. We had some attorney generals in our state that, in my view, were pieces of shit when it comes to cannabis.
Yep.
And Lundgren was the last one that really, I think they pushed him out and went on a different direction. We were fighting these things tooth and nail. I wasn't involved actively because I was practicing law in those days, man. If you they knew you were a pot smoker as an attorney or a physician. Molly was a physician. It was the death knell to your professional career. People may have known it, like they knew that Liberace was gay, but no one ever said it, and no one pushed it as long as you weren't trying to push it too much. But the impetus for early Prop 19 back in 72 continued to carry through as the empathy for people, and it's like, you're dying of AIDS, wasting syndrome, smoke some weed, get an appetite, stop being such a miserable piece of shit for people, have some empathy, carried into 215 and 96. So we've got this history going, okay? And so the 50-year anniversary of signing the Moscone Act was yesterday. And for those of us who live this, it's like, yeah, we remember how bad it was. And I'm thankful how good it is today. But the State Fair now has an exhibit. We have another consumption lounge out there. Michelle Aldrich, who was instrumental in getting Prop 19 on the ballot back in 72, is going to be presenting on the 19th. I don't have the itinerary for the day, so I don't know what to tell you when she's going to be there. It's scheduled for July 19th at the State Fair. They're going to be having a presentation about this time in the history of California cannabis. So I wanted to just, say, yeah, this gray hair means that I've been around that long. Okay. I remember this stuff personally. Friends of mine getting popped for weed and it ruining their lives, things like that. Fortunately, I never got caught with it. Not that I wasn't doing it, I just never got caught. And I avoided that until the feds came after me. And, that story is another day. But I wanted to run through this quickly, throw it out for some discussion, for your thoughts and your recollections of this. And this is your favorite Tio Loco. Back to you guys. What do you think about this?
I think this is fantastic that they're having something like this up there at the State Fair, Dale. This is really cool.
Well, I'm planning on attending. I'm going to get the itinerary and see when, it's going to be 100 degrees for 2 weeks here. So, you can't cut the mustard, put down the knife. It's going to be hotter than hell up here. But I'm going to make it to some of these just because I want to go there, and we're going to have people who have been incarcerated to talk about how, being incarcerated for weeds ruined their life. I can tell you that being thrown in prison or jail for weed is, first of all, stupid. But, being thrown in jail can really put a hitch in your get-along for your life. You lose a lot of stuff. Marriages fall apart. You lose everything you work for. And for what? Because some politician has a stick up their ass about weed. We need to get well past this, just because the average person now thinks that smoking weed's safer than drinking alcohol. And the latest California survey was over 30% are actually using weed on a regular basis here in California. So it's catching up with alcohol. And there's a generation's going to bring to this. There's no longer this taboo thing. It's shit like that. You're smoking weed, We used to do this with the Grateful Dead and Led Zeppelin shit, and who cared? No one got hurt. We're now to a point where, for long-term health and safety, smoke weed over drinking alcohol. I'm not saying don't or do either one, but if you're going to think about it objectively, smoking weed's a hell of a lot safer for you than drinking alcohol, and certainly than smoking tobacco.
Fair enough. What do you got to say about this, Stone? I know you haven't been around that long.
Oh man, longer than you, but not as long as Dale. Yeah, I think it's awesome, man. I wish I could come out and partake. I can't wait to hear you come back and report on how it was.
I will do that.
Are they bringing a lot of advocates out? Do you know? Do you know, Dale? Are they going to bring a lot of the old schoolers out? Are they going to bus them out to this thing? Because a lot of them don't drive.
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't seen the itinerary. I haven't talked to like Dale Geringer or anybody like that who might be involved in that, or Chris Conrad or some other of my old dog friends who have been doing this for a minute. I'll see if I can find out. All I know is it's the 19th, and they're going to have incarcerated people talking about that, and some other presentations about the history here in California. And of course, you can go to the fair, buy weed, and go smoke it right there on the premises.
Yes, but only in their consumption area, right? You can't just like walk around the fair while you're eating a deep fried corn dog.
mean like we used to do, go behind a dumpster and smoke weed?
Yeah. Behind the, you know what I'm saying? Behind the hay bale or something, you know what I mean? While you're on the hay ride.
Yeah. You can go there and sit there and smoke a joint and shoot the shit. And it's really a nice thing to be at an official government function where the cops aren't there trying to roust you for smoking a fucking joint. It's a nice thing.
That's a fair point. AJ, you're pretty quiet today. Welcome, AJ, Mr. Sour Diesel himself.
What's up?
How you doing, buddy? You have any thoughts on this? On this legacy play with the state fair?
God, I always feel bad when people talk about getting arrested for weed and all this stuff because I mean I've been lucky and it's never happened to me. It's because I hate leaving the house. I always have. I stay home.
He's a hermit.
Life. Why I started growing weed to begin with because it was something I could do from home. But yeah, it sounds great to me.
Okay.
Have a good time. I'll be here.
I'll be chilling at my house in New York. I heard that. Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Well, sweet, man. Well, on that, I think there's going to be a really cool thing for people to check out. I encourage everybody to make it up to Sacramento if you can for the state fair and check out this, show some support, get some social media content in of this, and I really hope that they bust in a lot of our senior fellows in this fight, Dale. It'd be nice to have like a little reunion up there at the Capitol for the state fair.
Well, there's a number of us around. I mean, I can still walk, thank God. I mean, whole fair, I may get a scooter or something with my children to go there, but I can still get around. But a lot of the old farts like me, older than me, are struggling. I mean, a lot of them are dead. They put their shoulder to the stone and try to push it up the hill, and some made it and some didn't. And going to prison over this or going to jail over this is one of those legacies that it's as ugly as slavery. I mean, it should never. It ruined people's lives. It continues to ruin people's lives. And I just hope that the federal government can get its head out of its ass and fix this problem and help us. But wish in one hand and shit in the other, and we all know which one's going to fill up first.
Yeah. Fair enough. Good point, Dale. Well, on that, we're going to run into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back. Look at that. We started off the show with a good story. We might just end on a good story, too. You never know. You have to stay tuned and watch.
Oh, man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Test it. It's not a name, it's a promise.
We are back, you guys. Man, you know what? I have a humdinger for you guys. Are you guys ready for this? Especially you, Stone. You're gonna love this. Because Cookies owes $8.4 million to partner on San Francisco marijuana store, you guys. Prominent marijuana brand Cookies is on the hook to pay its former partner and failed San Francisco marijuana store $8.4 million, according to court records, you guys. The significant payout due to the Cole Ashbury Group, Cookies' Esterwhile partner at the Burners on Hate dispensary that closed last year after opening to great fanfare in December of 2019, is the result of a put option backed into the two parties' licensing agreement, according to an earlier arbitration ruling upheld on June 30th, you guys. In April of 2025, arbitration ruling which awarded Cole Ashbury $7.3 million in damages, plus more than $1.1 million in attorney's fees and costs, was first reported by Blurred Culture. Retired San Francisco Superior Court Judge Harold Kahn finalized the ruling on June 30th, records show, and representatives from the Cole Ashbury Group, which operated the first cannabis store in San Francisco, permitted under the city's marijuana social equity program, did not immediately respond to an MJ Biz request for comment. In a statement to SF Gate, Parker Burling, from San Rafael, California based Cookies president, said that the company respects the decision but will consider all available options. $10 million put option as part of marijuana store's licensing agreement because, according to the findings from the arbitrator, retired San Francisco Superior Court Judge David Garcia, the two parties in November of 2019 licensing agreement included a put option that, if exercised, required Cookies to buy out Cole Ashbury Group for $10 million. That valuation was based on average sales in that era before some of the publicized struggles affecting the legal cannabis industry set in, Garcia wrote. That option could be activated if Cole Ashbury Group maintained its license to use Cookies branding and iconic strains for 42 months, according to the agreement. Cole Ashbury Group exercised that option on May 22nd of 2023, but Cookies refused to pay, which led to an October 2024 arbitration hearing that Garcia oversaw, according to court records. In the meantime, Cookies revoked the store's permission to use its branding, and the rebranded store, called Blaze on Hate, closed sometime after the relationship with Cookies ended in early 2024. Cookies must suffer the consequences of a bad deal, though, because in the arbitration proceedings, Cookies tried to argue that store was mismanaged and that Sean Richard, the store's equity owner, violated the terms of the licensing agreement, which alleged misbehavior, including a still pending sexual harassment lawsuit. Richard has denied any wrongdoing in the lawsuit, which is still ongoing, records show, and Cookies also contended that the store, which allegedly never turned a profit despite a prime location in San Francisco's iconic Haight-Ashbury neighborhood and never paid Cookies any licensing fees, was worthless. But Garcia dismissed those arguments, noting in his February ruling that Cookies never moved to revoke the store's licensing agreement. And though the belief that the storefront in the iconic Haight-Ashbury was destined for success was unfounded, and that did not invalidate the put option, he added. In an additional quote, "The unusual consequence of making a bad deal is to suffer the consequences," Garcia wrote in his ruling. Garcia noted that the store's struggles are likely the result of a governmental regulatory failure that has been complicated by local and state governments that have contributed to the problem by perhaps overtaxing and over-permitting cannabis dispensaries. The solution, though, follows Cookie's significant win in a separate arbitration proceeding with another retail partner. In those proceedings, in which Garcia also served as arbiter, Cookies was awarded $22.7 million from Cookies Retail, which an alter ego of Los Angeles-based TRP Co. for unpaid royalty fees and misuse of trademarks. That's a story we covered here on High at 9 News as well. Court records show that Cookies Retail is attempting to invalidate that ruling, and a hearing is scheduled for July 14th, and Ease will attempt to make the Haight-Ashbury marijuana store work. But though the Haight store, the Haight Street store eventually did not succeed under the Cookies branding, another national cannabis brand plans to give it a go. And the MJ Biz Daily has learned of this, and this and the State Department of Cannabis Control records show that Corey Azalano, the CEO of Ease, was added to the store's permit sometime last year. Ease Technologies is a marijuana delivery startup which wound down its delivery operations last year, and a new company called Ease Incorporated emerged earlier this year under ownership of Netscape billionaire Jim Clark. The new Ease will take over management of the location under the branding Ease on Hate, and Azalino told MJ Biz Daily last month in a quote, "We are just managing the location, not taking over ownership," Azalino said in the email. He did not provide an opening date, and the store remains shut as of Wednesday, you guys. Well. The top of hate, where you can just walk up and just buy a bag of weed, now has a closed store. And we'll see what happens. And I'm not sure about all of this. You know, Ease didn't do too well. You know, they did well in the beginning, just like this cookie store did well in the beginning, and then it kind of fizzled out. And so we'll see what happens with them, and we'll keep an eye on this as all developments happen. What do y'all have to say about this?
Oh, you think maybe they overtax retails, and you think maybe they issue too many permits, Jason?
So this is what the article stated, Jenny.
You get a dispensary. You get a dispensary. You all get fucking dispensaries. Go fight for scraps.
And they leverage themselves unbelievably. I've reviewed some of these contracts, and you know, when you make assurances like a put, where if you meet certain thresholds, we get to sell this back for X amount of dollars. You meet those thresholds, but the government's regulation and tax scheme makes it impossible for the business to be profitable. And you understand why they're pissed off. But like the judge said, hey, you know, you signed the deal, you know? And to say, oh, you violated because someone got a sexual harassment suit. Listen, I can't tell you how many of these businesses I've represented where some employee gets pissed off. And the next thing I know, the Abramson's group is sending me a demand letter or something like that.
Yep.
It's like, that's part of doing business. That's not mismanaging. I mean, I can certainly imagine scenarios where some guy's got his hands all over women, and that's a bad problem. But just because you get sued for sexual harassment in this environment doesn't mean you mismanage a store. I don't know how stores are profitable anymore. And these deals are going to continue to blow up people's faces. So,
well, it sounds like it sounds like it was profitable for the social equity applicant who just got awarded $8 million.
Well, sometimes you get lucky, but I can't tell you how many social equity people I've represented that, you know, it's like bend over and hope you get lubed up because you're just about to get screwed badly.
Exactly.
100%. And also getting awarded something does not mean that you have collected it.
I think that's fair, but you know, as stated in the article, they did just receive, a judgment of $22 million. So I'm pretty sure that they can find this $8 million laying around somewhere to get this guy taken care of.
Being appealed, though. That judgment's being appealed, just like they're going to appeal this judgment. So it's going to be tied up for a minute.
It may be tied up for a minute, but
$22 million first, Jason.
I'm just saying.
It's all funny money.
It is.
You know, I've done creditor exams before where you bring somebody, you set their ass in a witness chair, and I want to, what's the account number? How much money's in that? And the judge is writing orders. Go take the money out of the account. That's where the rubber starts meeting the road. This is all monopoly money right now. You're ready. They're going to pay me 22 and I'm going to pay you 8. It's all horse shit until actually the money lands in your account.
Right. I feel you, Dale. I feel you on that. It's all just speculation and hype until the money actually clears the bank. And then you're like, cha-ching.
Yeah, but going forward, the lessons to be learned from this are what? Okay. It doesn't matter how you structure these contracts. If the industry makes it impossible to make money, these contracts are just worthless.
I thought the
problem we have.
Dale, I thought the lesson from this story was to always make sure that you put out.
Yeah. Well, eventually you got to put out. But these put contracts, I mean, people, this is a speculative industry. If you're making assurances and warranties to people about future payments in this industry, my advice is don't. Because, you know, the tea leaves are hard to read. But what we can see now is the tea leaves are circling the fucking drain right now. And I wouldn't be making a whole lot of bets on the future of this industry, especially multi-million-dollar payouts. That's crazy to do.
Fair enough. What do you think, Stone?
I already said my piece.
Okay. All right, you said your piece. All right, fair enough. AJ, any thoughts on this, AJ?
I mean, the bureaucracy and the fuckery of modern day cannabis deals hurts my head. I think that if you are involved in a licensing deal and you're depending on back end money, you can fucking forget about it. You get whatever you get on the front end, and that's all you get, from my experience. A collection of unfulfilled contracts that are worthless and and not worth even trying to enforce. So, yeah, I mean, it just sounds like total fuckery. Whoever took money on those deals on the front end walked away happy, and everyone else got fucked. And that's always the case.
Sounds like that. Sounds like that.
Call them shit sandwiches. I've had way too many of them I had to try to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people want to believe in this shit because, you know, it makes them happy to think about, so they buy into it. But, you know, I mean, I consider anything promised to me in the future to be bullshit. And that's how I got it.
Fair enough. Well, and on that, we are going to roll into our next story. We're going to roll right into Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the founder of Cannabis and of Justice Served, a 501c3 that helps justice-impaired individuals get their life back on track. And here to bring some spice is none other than America's sweetheart, Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
Yeah. Good morning. All right. So, Thailand was sick of you guys' shit. So let's talk about what Thailand's cannabis recriminalization actually means. Just like one can count on Thai food to deliver, one can rely on Thai laws to confound. Thailand's cannabis free fall is coming to an abrupt end with a renewed push for recriminalization. Here's the blunt truth and what it actually means for locals, tourists, and the country's billion-baht weed industry. Almost 3 years after the Land of Smiles made headlines as the first Asian country to decriminalize cannabis, the Thai government is now reversing course. New regulations issued by the Ministry of Public Health will soon make recreational use illegal again, a move that's set to shake up the country's booming weed scene. No prescription, no purchase under the new rules. All cannabis purchases must be backed by a doctor's prescription. The sale of marijuana for recreational use will be banned, and cannabis flower will be reclassified as a narcotic as they were before 2022. According to the health officials, over 18,000 licensed cannabis shops across Thailand are expected to be impacted. From now on, dispensary operators will be required to verify every prescription, including a doctor's registration number, diagnosis, and dosage. Patients can be prescribed up to 30 grams per month. Anything beyond that could spark investigations for suspected recreational use. Some in the industry had hoped cannabis would become a pillar of Thai agriculture, wellness, and tourism, but years of political uncertainty and lack of clear regulation have stalled any real long-term progress. While the final details are still pending, one thing is clear: Thailand is rolling back its cannabis high. Stoners and dispensary owners alike are bracing for impact, with many calling for clear guidance, better communication, and support for those already invested in the business, much like navigating a modern-day situationship. So, you just fucked around and y'all found out in Thailand. Everybody went over there and got all willy-nilly, and the government was like, oh, no, you don't. No, you don't. So I guess I'll throw it back to you guys, but I told you so. I told y'all to chill the fuck out.
Thailand. No Thai sticks for you.
You can get really draconian over there, too. They've been
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not trying to get beat with a bamboo stick, Dale. Are you fucking crazy?
Oh, no. But, you know, the problem is that the hate for this drug runs deep in that part of the world. And, it's related back to some of the racial problems that we attach to weed in this country. And you looked at as the enemy. You're trying to ruin our society. And then when, they look at people over there just running around smoking weed, acting crazy as a problem, we look at it as a concert, in their country, that's a problem, right? And they're going to have a reaction to this. It's going to be draconian. And hopefully we get to a point where maybe they are in Texas, where decide we can't just kill an entire industry. Let's find a way to make this work. But a gram a day, or you're considered, recreational. It's like, I know people who take a gram at a time dosage for medical treatment multiple times a day. Okay, so that's like anyway. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be good for tourism in Thailand.
Well, it's funny you said that, Dale, because I was actually talking just randomly with a buddy of mine in Thailand last night, and I was like, hey, by the way, they started cracking down on any of the stores out there, and he says that by September 1st, most likely they will start enforcing. He says there's a 60-day window to sell all non-GACP flower from the beginning of July. And so they got 60 days to get rid of all of their inventory, apparently, before the enforcement starts. And when I asked him about the crackdown, he says only crooked cops who know that their time taxing shops is coming to an end are freaking out right now. I found very telling. I thought that was very, very insightful over there.
Well, Thai stick is going to be as virtually viable today as it was back, my day during the war. We liked Thai stick coming out of there. That's been around for a minute. It ain't going away. It's going to be there. It's like the trap's not going away.
Exactly.
So it's kind of the game we're going to watch them play. But they don't play with, we're going to arrest you and we're going to arraign you. They beat the dog shit out of you or throw you where the sun don't shine or maybe even pop a cap in your ass. So
they just may. Yeah. It is highly possible. Highly, highly possible. Joe, you ever go to Thailand?
Never.
No?
I never wanted to go anywhere where I could get in trouble for smoking weed. So it's just never.
Because
to go anywhere in Southeast Asia because I could just go to the Caribbean.
Yeah, you don't want to ruin your batting 1,000 record with law enforcement, huh?
Yeah, it's probably not an accident that I'm batting 1,000. I try not to go anywhere where I'm going to get arrested.
Fair enough.
He said he doesn't leave the house.
He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't. He really doesn't. That part is true. I've known this guy for a pretty long time, and like he's like he's like a ghost. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, my advice is if you leave the house, don't break more than one law at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm old school. I don't smoke in the car. I don't try to one crime at a time and go where you're least likely to have a problem.
Mm-hmm. So I guess you don't steal cable at your house then, huh, Joe?
I don't steal cable. And I was never into prostitutes, so I just had no reason to go to Thailand.
Fair enough.
No free cops or anything.
Great Thai food in New York.
Fair enough. Stone, any thoughts on this?
People try to use that argument. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. And Thailand said, we're putting the toothpaste back in the tube.
Obviously, you don't have a big enough shovel for your toothpaste tube, but we'll show you what we got. It's going to be interesting to see what they're able to do. I don't know. We're gonna keep an eye on it. Apparently, September 1st is when the crackdown starts out there. So we'll see, and we will definitely keep monitoring this situation as it develops. And on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back. Oh, and we're back. And I do want to read this one comment. This was pretty good. I like this. Shout out to the Pepper Plug who says, Thailand said we make toothpaste tubes. Which I thought that's pretty good. But nonetheless, stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. And make sure that you go and check out all of our sponsors that are listed in the description, as well as Aim High Hemp Distribution. One of our sponsors is doing a drive for supplies for the victims of the flood victims in Texas. And so please reach out to them via their website and donate what you can, whether that's blankets, water, money, whatever it is, they'll take it and they'll make sure that it's distributed to people in need. And also too, make sure that you use the link in the description and order yourself a case of Liberal Tears energy beverage, 150 milligrams in every can, 0 grams of sugar. And I promise you that no snowflakes were harmed in the making of this product.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that, they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Back. Jenny Beth, do you want to introduce Stone today?
Sure.
All right. All right.
All right. Straight out of Jason's favorite city, the ATX.
It's Austin.
Yeah. Okay. Hush. Hush, Jason. When I do intros, you hush. All right? All right. When he's not hitting the high road, he's smoking THCA, allegedly. But shout out to Stone Slade.
Oh, wow. Thanks for nothing. Man.
Yeah. At least you smoke THCA and not Delta 8, Stone. She kind of upped your profile right there.
Don't fuck with me. You know what? Okay. Anyway, having a bad enough day. I broke my light. My green screen didn't fucking work.
Oh, is that why you're looking a little pale today?
It looks green to me, Stone.
Yeah. That's... Anyway. Yeah. Anyway. If you're wondering what drives a $1.7 billion medical cannabis market in Pennsylvania, the answer isn't what you'd expect, unless, of course, you're also anxious about absolutely everything these days. Because in the Keystone State, anxiety isn't just a feeling, it's a business model. According to a new study out this week of the Annals of Internal Medicine, researchers from the University of Pittsburgh and Johns Hopkins found that adding anxiety to Pennsylvania's list of qualifying conditions fundamentally changed the state's medical cannabis program. Before anxiety got the green light on July of 2019, most patients were signed up for chronic pain or PTSD. But by the very next year, anxiety had skyrocketed past both of them and taken the top spot, and it's held on to it ever since. By 2024, more than 68% of Pennsylvania's 440,000 certified patients had anxiety listed on their card, and that's a lot of nerves. Now, to be fair, people are anxious. The world's a mess. But this surge in anxious patients didn't just affect paperwork. It lit a fire under the whole program. Patient certifications nearly doubled in a single year, and sales jumped from $306 million in 2019 to over $823 million in 2020. Now, it's not growth. That's a green explosion. Today, Pennsylvania has the second largest medical cannabis program in the country, trailing only Florida, and it's 6th overall when you stack it up against adult use markets. Not bad for a state that still can't sell you joints unless you have a doctor's note. But let's be real, this is where the debate starts to bubble. Dr. Coleman Drake, a lead author of the study, said adding anxiety to the list might have sent the wrong message, one that implies cannabis is an effective treatment for it, even though there's not much hard science to back this up. His concern, people are getting their hopes high and maybe not much else. Of course, the lack of research is thanks to the usual suspects, cannabis still being listed as a Schedule I drug, right up there with heroin. So we can't legally study it, but we can legally sell it for medical conditions that we haven't studied it for. Makes perfect sense. Drake points out that there's actually more evidence supporting cannabis for chronic pain, not anxiety, but thanks to federal restrictions and funding roadblocks, our knowledge is still frustratingly half-baked. Meanwhile, the number of Americans who support legalization has soared to 87%. According to a new Pew survey, yet researchers are still begging for funding scraps to figure out what we kind of already know through lived experience. Let's be honest, many folks are entering medical cannabis programs for anxiety, aren't necessarily looking for FDA-level clinical outcomes. They're just looking to feel a little less on the edge. And for some people, cannabis does help. But like with everything in this space, the story is complex, the science is behind, and the policies are a weird mix of helpful, hopeful, and half-assed. Some stats are catching on. New Mexico added anxiety in 2023, and now nearly 10% of their patients cite it as a qualifying condition. Others, like Alabama, call it a panic disorder, while in states like New York and Maine, they let doctors decide what's appropriate. It's all paperwork mess, and hey, at least it's growing. In the end, whether you believe cannabis treats anxiety or not, the data from Pennsylvania proves one thing. When you open the door to mental health conditions, people come rushing in. Because the truth is, a lot of people are anxious and even more fed up with the side effects and high cost or flat out failures of traditional pharmaceuticals. So if some cannabis helps someone breathe easier, sleep better, or just get through another day in 2025, who's really being harmed? Besides Big Pharma's quarterly report, I'm Stone Slade for the High at 9 News.
Man, Stone, anxiety. I think
that's a good one.
I think anxiety is a perfectly relevant reason to get a cannabis recommendation.
100%.
Yeah, and I noticed you mentioned that there was a few municipalities that came out with other definitions of how they want to describe anxiety. What were those?
Alabama calls it a panic disorder.
Oh, I like that. That's pretty good. That's pretty
Never
good.
works.
That's pretty good. Can you see me going to the doctor? I have a panic disorder, you guys.
I could actually see you telling the doctor that.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like some Alabama shit.
It does. It definitely. It sounds very Alabama to me. Mm-hmm.
Well, when you have an anxiety attack, what do they call it?
It's a panic attack, not a panic disorder. That's the difference.
Jason.
If you go to a physician and you describe that, oh, if I go certain places, I get anxious and shit like that, they'll write you a fucking prescription for a drug to treat that. Okay. So if you smoke a joint and find out that I handle my anxiety, whatever you want to call it, that way, we used to do this a lot. Molly and I, we had thousands of people that had mental health disorders, and they'd come to us and say, when I smoke a joint or whatever I do, it works better than the benzos or the SSRIs, whatever else some physician wants to prescribe for me. Under California's law, it said any other condition for which marijuana provides relief, bingo, we're right there. Okay? But I can tell you that law enforcement didn't used to look at mental health issues using cannabis like they did with someone in a wheelchair or someone with AIDS or something like that. Because I remember one of our patients that had anxiety, and it wasn't well described in his medical records. And, we had a frank discussion with him. It's like, look, we'll give you a recommendation, but you look like Stone. It's like if the cops pull you over and you say, oh, I've got anxiety, they're going to laugh and go, yeah, fuck you. You're going to jail. And, this guy was very distraught, but I was trying to be real with him as an attorney. It's like, look, you don't look like that. And a lot of this is the way you look to the cops. If you got a note and you look like, oh, I'm haggard or whatever, this guy was clean cut. He was in management somewhere. And I just had to be blunt with him. Look, if you get pulled over, dude, you may be going to jail. They'll help you. But so then his mom called me up about a week later and said he killed himself because he was upset that we didn't accept that he had anxiety. And it's like, I'm sorry, man, but that's not what we told him. Like, we accept it, but you look clean cut. And that's part of the problem we still have with adding, what I call legitimate psychiatric issues, and cannabis works. If people don't think you look like you need to use weed, you get treated differently. It's all bullshit, because you go back 2,000 years ago when people wanted to smoke weed, nobody cared whether you had a diagnosis of anxiety or PTSD or hemorrhoids or whatever the fuck else you might have.
They only cared if you had money in your pocket, Dale.
Yeah. Can you pay for this? Fine.
Yep,
Good.
exactly.
Here we are 2,000 years forward, and everybody thinks they're a goddamn medical specialist.
I think that's all because of WebMD. It's all WebMD's fault. Ever since people could go online and self-diagnose themselves, the people just came up with all kinds of conditions and everything. And I think that's been a real menace to society. But speaking of menace to societies, Steve Blessingham in the chat, he says, a panic attack is when you're strung out on your day 3 of no sleep, figuring out what you got to do next to re-up. He says that's anxiety.
Sounds like he's jonesing.
Oh man,
Hello, Steve.
Yeah. So I grew up in a trailer park, so I know plenty of people that suffered from that same type of anxiety, and I've witnessed it a number of times from different individuals. So I know exactly what he's talking about that. And those people, man, it's a tough life.
I need some mess, so I got to find some copper wire to steal.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
Or Little Boy Blue. He needed the money, right?
Yeah, or maybe they'll go find a lot of catalytic converters or something, Dale. You know. AJ, what do you think about this? You ever get anxiety? I mean, you don't leave the house.
Anxiety is like a first world problem. It's like the result of living in a decadent society, being all up in your feelings. I don't know. I don't want to belittle other people's problems, but as far as I'm concerned, if I'm experiencing anxiety, I think I just, try to be more stoic and not whine and complain and just accept that that's
you think
just the price of being alive is that, you're going to be anxious. So,
don't you think that possibly a lot of people, they misdiagnose themselves with anxiety and all they really have is paranoia?
I think they're just noticing that they're fucking alive. Of course you're anxious. You might die today. And then once you accept that that's your fate and it's going to happen one of these days, then, that maybe you can let go of it.
Yeah, every day you wake up, you're a day closer to death.
But I wish I would have self-diagnosed myself, but unfortunately the doctor diagnosed me after she diagnosed me with PTSD from domestic violence. So damn it, that secondary condition, little bastard.
Yeah,
See?
I mean, and like I said, I just speak for myself. Sometimes I get anxious whether I'm going to have the burger or the turkey club, and then I just think to myself, this isn't a real problem.
That's a first world anxiety. Yeah,
that sounds like real anxiety right there. You know what I mean?
You should go to the turkey club.
Problem is we have a Paleolithic nervous system trying to live in this crazy fucking world today. And sometimes the wires just spark.
Yeah.
How are you going to do? Smoke the joint.
Anxiety is in all of us, which is why anxiety is such a great qualifying condition.
I feel like dabbing works better for me. That's just me personally. It was just more of like a quick shot as opposed more like a rescue inhaler than a slow burn.
Stone, you ever get
sometimes?
Go ahead.
If I smoke weed, okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Please go ahead, AJ, please.
I'm just saying sometimes if I smoke weed at home, it quell anxiety, but smoke a joint of haze and then walk into Safeway and it might exacerbate your anxiety. So it really depends.
Yeah, because you don't have enough money to buy everything that you want. Because food prices are so high.
And the music might make you more anxious.
Oh, man. Stone, you ever
get can exacerbate anxiety as well.
Stone, you ever get anxious driving around Texas chasing tumbleweed?
No.
Couple of assumptions there, Stone.
Oh,
what's that?
Like you're running around Texas, and when you're running around, you're chasing tumbleweeds.
That's right. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Only local Safeway may do it, but tumbleweeds no.
No tumbleweed. No tumbleweeds in the ATX, Jason.
I don't know, bro. I'm pretty sure there's some tumbleweed. Last time I was in Austin, I saw some tumbleweed out there.
You didn't see a tumbleweed.
I totally did, bro. I totally did. Out in the streets during they had some festival going on out there. There was plenty of tumbleweed out there.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, Dave, he was smoking.
Yep. Well, on that, we're gonna roll into our final commercial, and we are gonna be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where am I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Oh, yes, and we are back, you guys. And we are going to roll right into our next story with our newest correspondent on Thursdays, Mr. AJ Sour Diesel. He's an asshole, and his name is Joe. And if you're wondering what AJ stands for, I just told you right there. That's right. It is none other than Mr. AJ, Mr. Sour Diesel himself.
Okay. Well, the story that jumped out at me this week was...
literally jumped out at you, huh? Gave you that anxiety?
Yes. The story that gave me anxiety was this NBC Channel 10 Massachusetts, NBC 10 Boston story. 7 Chinese nationals face federal charges in multi-million-dollar marijuana grow operation. And if I can, I'd like to just read the first part of the article that says federal prosecutors in Massachusetts said Tuesday that 7 Chinese nationals are facing charges in an alleged marijuana grow operation that spanned multiple states and yielded millions of dollars. The Office of U.S. Attorney Leah Foley announced the arrest of 6 people alongside the Federal Bureau of Investigations and Massachusetts State Police. Investigators allege that Chinese nationals were smuggled into the country to work in a network of grow houses concealed in single-family homes in Massachusetts and Maine, and that their passports were withheld until they repaid their smuggling debts. The group allegedly ran the grow houses since around January of 2020, operating in Braintree, according to Foley's office. Defendants are accused of conspiring to sell kilograms of marijuana in bulk across the Northeast. What I thought was interesting about this story was that it reads like it's written by the arresting officer. But I gathered from this, like, what the headline, as far as I'm concerned, should have been was human slavery ring discovered and 6 slaves were freed. But instead, they're facing charges. Passports were withheld until their smuggling debts were paid.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like some cartel shit right there.
Yeah, this has been going on since 2020. So what's sad is that no one told these guys that they could have just bought a one-way ticket to Mexico and walked into the country, and they would have been given...
Oh, there's your anxiety, Joe.
Pretty much everything for free.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they were conned into becoming human slaves.
Mm-hmm.
I also thought it was interesting that the ringleader at his base of operations in a town called Braintree, and that the ring was discovered when 2 growers were pulled over leaving their grow house in Greenfield. So I don't know if they were into symbolic names of towns or if that's a coincidence. They were caught with almost $37,000 in cash, which doesn't seem like a multi-million-dollar operation. It seems like they had just sold a box of shitty weed. And the group allegedly made millions in profit from sales, it says, using it to buy luxury homes, vehicles, jewelry, and other items. They recovered a Porsche and a Rolex, which obviously belonged to the boss. And yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like it says here, the money also funded the expansion of the enterprise, which reads to me like they were current on their utilities and rent. And federal prosecutors said, in addition to FBI and Mass State Police, DEA provided assistance, as well as New York State, Maine Police, local authorities in Braintree, New York City, and Westchester County. So it basically took like 50 cops to bust, a few grow houses. And they make no mention of the fact that, the real story is that this is like modern day slavery, which, is completely ignored in the story,
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that if you asked 6 defendants who, were arrested, they'd probably say that they're just glad it's over. And, Yeah, that's the story.
Well, in this story, Joe, it says there's a quote, and I think this is either from the prosecutor's office or from the actual arresting officer. It says these defendants allegedly turned quiet homes across the Northeast into hubs for a criminal enterprise, building a multi-million-dollar black market operation off the backs of an illegal workforce and using our neighborhoods as cover. He says that ends today.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, the price of Bubba's are going up.
Yeah. It says a lot about the state of the black market industry, because I can remember 20 or something years ago, they busted the old Molson factory in Canada, and they had over 1,000 lights going, and now the Chinese mob has been reduced to a few houses in Massachusetts and Maine. It tells you it's about the industry too.
What I find, I don't know if it's comical or not, they charge Diddy with shit that should be on this indictment.
Yeah.
Okay. Because this is
slavery.
Yeah, this is RICO. This is slavery. The enterprise is going to make money. But you're right, AJ. They focus on shit here that really is way off base. Because, I was in the joint with a bunch of Mexican guys that work for cartels. And they weren't slaves. They got paid, okay? But the Chinese and these Asian gangs that come in, they really bring you in here and they got you by the short hairs. And it really is slavery. And it's disgusting, because if this was prostitution, we'd hear all about slavery. Okay. It's the same goddamn thing, though. You're in there doing something illegal with a gun to your head, and nobody really knows who you are. Nobody really gives a shit who you are. And in these neighborhoods, you live in a neighborhood where somebody shows up and the lights are on, there's a car in the driveway, you never see a human being. And this goes on for years, and you wonder what's going on over there. Really, this is rocket science to figure this shit out? It really isn't. It's propaganda to try to make our industry look bad, and traps going on everywhere out there. Every place you find the trap going on, you're going to have the potential to have this sort of headline come up, and the workforce and things like that is typically not treated like this. Okay, you're right. It should be the story, AJ. That this is a slave operation that's growing weed. It could be a slave operation running massage parlors or what the fuck it could be. Really, but because it's weed, guess what? Pejoratives are on us rather than this is just horrible. It's like going to Thailand to go there and fuck little kids, take pictures of themselves. It's horrible stuff. Why don't we talk about that? Rather than they're growing weed. Who gives a shit if they're growing weed? Everybody's growing weed today.
Well, these guys aren't growing any weed anymore, Dale.
No, they're going to be in jail and deported and all that kind of stuff. But for people that were getting caught, they're caught committing a federal felony. Okay, minimum mandatories are 5 to 10 years here. Okay, poor bastards. I don't know if they knew they were coming to the United States to grow weed when they left China. But when they found out, it's like, I can't get out of here. What do I do now? Okay. It's just horrific. It's not about growing weed. It's about slavery. For God's sake.
The article makes a brief mention to pay their smuggling debts. Yeah, they're human smuggling debts. It's like it passes right past that. I found that interesting.
Yes.
It's a narrative we've got to try to turn around every chance we get.
Yeah. Jenny Beth, any thoughts?
This is ridiculous. We read a story about this out of, where was it, New Mexico, Arizona recently as well, where it was the same situation, the same exact situation. But it was a licensed farm where they were doing this to people.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was on a native reservation, and there was a couple other places out there that, yeah. And is this the same?
No, not just that one, Jason. I did a story on it like a couple months ago. You really got to pay attention to the stories we put in Discord.
I pay attention to all the stories, Jenny Beth, but that was the most recent one. So that's why I was referencing
this is absolutely ridiculous. So
You know, I wonder, and I'm just, you know, I'm not trying to be insensitive with this comment, so I'm posing this as a question. Do you think it's part of the culture? Because a lot of these workers, you know, they work crazy hours in factories in China, right? Where, you know, you're working 7 days a week, you know what I'm saying, 15 hours a day kind of thing. Do you think that they're just kind of like used to that type of a lifestyle, and that's why these types of things happen with these instances?
I don't think that when you're in China selling this to somebody, I don't think, you know, I'm sure you're dressing it up like, you know, we're going to get you into America. You know, this is the same old story. We're going to get you, you know, eventually we're going to build you your own nail salon or your own massage parlor.
This is your ticket. Yeah, this is your ticket to the West. I get that part. I get that part. But, you know,
having worked in a lot of grows, you know, I can tell you it's very unglamorous work, and you know, being forced to do this type of stuff. It's like you know, they were better off staying home. I'll tell you that.
I see what you're saying. I don't know if that's the case. You know, I can see that stereotype of you're saying that they may already be conditioned to work.
Yeah, like if you know that as a normal, this is just going to seem normal to you, even though that you're here. You know what I mean? Because it's all that you know.
Yeah, maybe.
I wonder.
Yeah, but in this country, it's strictly against the law, and I think that'll be taken out and shot.
Well, I understand. I understand that that's the case, but whether or not they know that or they're aware of it is a totally different situation.
Yeah.
Well, but once you figure it out, okay, now their hopelessness is where we need to offer them some support. You're trapped in this and you feel like hopeless. I can't get out. They got my passport. You know, they're going to hurt my kids back home, whatever. That's where in this country, we need to have available resources and let them know, get the hell out of there. We'll help you. This is no different than grabbing kids who are being sexually trafficked around. You see that do something because it's not right. How can we complain at all about slavery in our past when it's going on today? We really have to be mindful of this stuff. Fair enough, you guys. Well, on to a happier subject, because I said we would end the show on a happy story today.
Good, because I was going to hang up if not.
Really? No, you weren't.
Bringing up
That's
the
fake
caboose.
news.
The biggest pain in my rear, the High at 9 head honcho, Jason Beck.
Joe, this is right in your backyard, Joe. I hope you're ready for this, because apparently this is the first story that I've seen like this. So I'm happy. I'm really excited to report this, Stone. You're going to love this, because visitors are unbothered by reports of marijuana smell at local state parks, you guys. That's right. Whether you notice it or not, the smell of marijuana is becoming part of the outdoor experience in many New York public areas. In a quote, "I've been to different places before, and many places, parks and such, and I have had smelled it before," said Lisa Brissett of Central New York. Some say lately the familiar odor seems to be floating through Green Lake State Park, but others say they haven't noticed it. It's not just the pine cones. In a quote, "I haven't. Nope. And I would know if somebody was close by, of course, out here in the open air," said Lane Briscoe of Shintanagio. I probably murdered that. Shintanago. And in an additional quote, "I smell beach, you know, the sun, tan lotion, kind of fishy sometimes, but I've never smelled marijuana," said Tammy Learned of Central New York. Still, the scent is hard to miss, but not everyone seems to mind it. In an additional quote, "It's not that bad, and I don't feel like it's a concern," said Bressett. In an additional quote, "That is not a concern of mine, really. I mean, it doesn't affect my stay at the park, and it really doesn't change my visit here in any way," said Sarah Citrick of Virginia. "I mean, if it's legal to smoke it, I guess it would be the same as smoking cigarettes. I mean, I don't think you should do it by a playground, you know, either." And someone said Learned, whoever that person is. And under New York law, you can't just smoke marijuana or tobacco in public spaces, including state parks, playgrounds, and beaches. And if you're caught, you could face a fine of up to $50, Joe, $50 to smoke in a park. This is well worth it. I'd totally pay $50 for that. The New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation released this statement to News Channel 9. They say, smoking tobacco, cannabis, or any other substance is prohibited in specified areas of state parks. Anecdotally, we have seen an increase in visitors smoking cannabis in these restricted zones, as well as complaints about the smell since cannabis was legalized. State park and staff continue to educate visitors and encourage compliance with the smoke-free areas out of courtesy to non-smoking patrons. Smoke-free areas are designated by signage and include playgrounds, swimming pools and beaches, pavilions, and picnic shelters, boardwalks, outdoor dining areas, outdoor environmental education programming areas, public gardens, and within 50 feet of buildings. In other undesignated areas within state parks, adults may use cannabis consistent with all other provisions of state law. State parks fully enforce these no smoking areas, including issuing tickets, carrying a fine of up to $250 for violations when necessary. Well, look at that. Doesn't seem like the smell of cannabis is deterring anybody from visiting the state parks this summer. What do y'all have to say about that?
Just don't blow up my kid's face while we're hiking, and I don't give a shit.
See?
That's the thing, yeah. Just don't be an asshole, man. Just
Yeah, exactly.
be sensible about where you're sparking up. Don't be around kids, and then you're not going to fucking ruin it for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
About time.
Yeah.
All we have to deal with now is the Karens, right?
Yep. Yeah. Well, you know, the Karens are going to complain about anything because that's just in their nature. That's what they do by that's their default setting, Dale.
Well, shout out to the Karens. They now have other things to worry about that they're e-bikes. Get the e-bikes off the trails, you kids in the fucking e-bikes. And I live in Newport Beach, and the kids in the e-bikes, they do need to chill out.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
you know, to be fair.
Can I use my $50 ticket to be like a day pass? Like, can I continue on smoking now that I've got my $50 ticket?
Yeah. I mean,
That's what I do with parking tickets. If I get one, I just leave it on the dash and stay there.
yep.
Used to
You
call
already
that
got me once, bud.
Hilton technique. You know, they come to the room, they give you a $500 smoking charge. Well, now you can smoke for the rest of your stay.
Yeah, exactly. You already done it. You already did the deed. You know what I'm saying? Yes. You know, it's not like you're going
You want me to unsmoke this joint?
Yeah.
All right.
They'd make more money if they just sold $10 smoking permits at the entrance to the park.
Hey, you know, that's not a bad idea. You know, or maybe
license, your smoking permit.
Maybe it should be $50, and that way you could pay your fine ahead of time.
Yeah, or take a quick course on how to not burn the park down. I smoking.
Now that to me is a bigger concern with forest fires and things like that. That to me is the bigger concern than any of this clean air BS. You know what I mean? Because in all fairness, a lot of the smells in cannabis already exist in the forest.
Very true.
Mm-hmm. Well. And on that, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Aim High Hemp Distribution, Tested, and Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And thank you to Cloud Media partners Elias and Kai out there in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.